Good morning. Welcome. I see Albert is saying, what a beautiful Friday morning. Yes, it absolutely is. It seems it's not going to be as hot as it was earlier in this week, and hopefully not as cold as it also has been. Quite a weird summer that we are experiencing at this time. But anyway, welcome and thank you for joining us live for this morning, and really looking forward to talk to you today about some lessons being learned from renovating one's house. And what has that got to do with our businesses? Well, it seems quite a lot. So really excited to share that with you. This morning, I'm joined by Nikki McDonald from the FBI, bringing us the news, and then also Norma talking about leading by example. So really looking forward to that as well. Let me say a quick good morning to everyone that already said morning. Good morning, Ben Kleinans. Hope you didn't get a fright when the song started this morning. I know you join early, and then, when we go live, it's like, woohoo, what's happening? And then we've got Albert Fritz. Good morning. Yes, absolutely. As I said, it's a beautiful, beautiful morning. Jeff down in, to the side in Durban. Jeff, good morning. Nice to see you. Kobus, good morning. Awesome to see you. Casper as well. Mr. Mark, I haven't forgotten about you, Mark. I will chat to you. It's just hectic, but I will make contact with you very shortly. And then Julie, good morning. Nice to see you as well. Thank you for joining us. And on that note, let's get into the show this morning. And first up is Nikki McDonald with the latest news in the financial planning world. So, Nikki, over to you.
Well, good morning, Francois, and good morning, everyone. In our first story this morning, 12 South African retirement funds with an estimated 3 trillion in assets under management have established a forum to collaborate regarding infrastructure investment in South Africa. This new entity is known as the Asset Owners Forum South Africa. This forum's chair is the CIO of the Eskom Pension and Provident Fund. He said that the forum aims to support infrastructure investments by sharing knowledge, resources, and due diligence costs. There are currently 12 funds involved, and the main players being the Government Employees Pension Fund with assets under management of 2.1 trillion at the end of March 2021, and the Eskom Pension and Provident Fund with assets under management of 184 billion. The Mine Workers Provident Fund, and then also the Motor Industry Retirement Funds. Now, the United States Agency for International Development and mobilizing institutional investors to develop Africa's infrastructure, that is a terrible acronym, MEDA advisors will provide technical and advisory support to the new forum. The World Bank is offering capacity building and advice on infrastructure investments. So let's see how this plays out. Then for some light reading you can do over the weekend, and it's a bit removed from specifically financial planning, but I think it's extremely important that we also look at the things that are happening in the digital world. And these two reports highlight some very interesting facts. So the FSCA has released two interesting reports in the last week or so. The first was the Digital Banking Research Document. Now, to understand the state of digital banking activities in South Africa, a survey was conducted focusing on banks. From the survey, there were several benefits identified, including financial inclusion, convenience, and personalization, as well as several drawbacks around consumer education, cybersecurity, and data privacy or misuse from digital banking activities. Now, stemming from these benefits and risks, the paper identified several considerations for the financial sector focused on consumer education, data management, and cybersecurity in order to amplify the potential benefits of digital banking while mitigating risks. The findings show that the digital banking market in SA is growing because of the benefits these digital banks are offering to customers. Now, digital banking introduced by incumbent banks provide easy access to services, while digital banking offered by new challengers has more innovative features that traditional institutions normally do not offer. Despite many South African banks making significant strides in providing a great digital experience, the digital banking landscape still has major room for improvement. For example, studies indicate that digital-only customers, which I think most of us are at this moment in time, continue to report the lowest levels of satisfaction in the banking sector in SA. There is a concern among South Africans over the security of their online banking activities and a lack of digital literacy and absence of infrastructure in some communities to support digital banking. So go download that report. It makes for very interesting reading. Then the second report is the Intergovernmental FinTech Working Group's report on articulating the policy rationale and policy imperatives for open finance in South Africa. Now, what is open finance? Open finance is defined as a framework that allows the sharing and leveraging of customer permissioned financial data by financial services providers with third-party providers who can then use that data to develop innovative products and services. So as customers increasingly demand financial products and services that are personalized and help them achieve their unique outcomes, open finance has started to break up the data silos of traditional financial institutions to give way for fintechs and other innovators to access customer data such as payments, credit, insurance, savings, investments, to offer new products and services, including payment initiation and account information services. Now, this report sets a framework in place that allows or that tells you how to structure this financial data sharing and make some recommendations on how to go about it in our new world. Both these papers are testament to how the fourth industrial revolution has already impacted ourselves and our clients and will continue to shape the world of tomorrow. I highly recommend reading both of them. And then the useless fact for a week, and this also stems from the fact that I have been binging the series on Jan van der Westhuizen, who is our own South African Michelin star chef. Michelin stars are highly coveted by elite and upscale restaurants the world over. Did you know that they are actually given out by the Michelin Tire Company, the same one whose mascot is the marshmallow-like Michelin Man? Now, what tires and food have to do with each other, I cannot know. But back to you, and have a great weekend, everyone. Back to you, Francois.
Thank you very much, Nikki. Oh, I didn't know it was actually coming from the Michelin tires. I think the Michelin Man is maybe apt for a very good chef, because you never trust a thin chef, right? So I guess that works well. But thank you very much. Really appreciate it. And I'm definitely going to check out that report from the FSCA. I want to see what that is all about. And it seems like there's things that possibly one could also get involved in. So thank you for sharing that, and have a fantastic weekend.
Thank you, Francois.
Good stuff. Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right, so with that, it's time for some personal development. And today, Norma is talking about leading by example. And without any further ado, Norma, over to you.
Good morning. I want to talk to you today about leading by example. So all of us are in a leading position, or a position where we influence others. And that starts with leading ourselves. So once we are good at leading ourselves, then we are in a better position to lead others. And now, even if we are leading ourselves well or not, others are looking at us, or looking at what we're doing all the time. All the eyes are on us because we now have that responsibility. And we are leading in, it starts small. So it starts within our family. So we are leading as a parent. Then we maybe lead a bigger family. Then we lead our social circles and we influence. Then we lead in our businesses. We lead our teams and we influence them. And if we're in corporations, we do the same there. We influence and lead in our community. And then some of us lead and influence the world. And the better we are at leading ourselves, the better and more effective we are in leading others. So it's if we can get to this place where we lead ourselves well, then it's so much easier for others to follow, because they can basically just emulate who we already are and what we do in the world. So I hear a lot of business owners talk about and maybe struggling with issues like they're overwhelmed or exhausted, or they don't think that their business is fun anymore, and even their employees might not be doing what they want them to do. And what I normally offer them is that instead of going and making big changes or shifts in the organization itself, is to look at the individual first, because obviously if the foundation is right, then whatever's built on that is going to be so much stronger. And if we don't manage our minds well and we don't lead ourselves well to start off with, then because there's so many eyes on us, it just puts whatever is inside us, it just puts it on display. And also when we want to grow our businesses, if we have issues within our business when it's small, it's just going to magnify those issues when we grow our businesses. So what I offer then is to obviously then work on the individual itself and getting the individual to a place where they're confident and where they feel they are in a good position and where they feel they I won't say mastered this in a sense that they've mastered themselves, but they are in a good place and they feel good others following them. So just a couple of points. This can be a much longer list. I just want to highlight 4, which is quite important for me. So the first thing we need to look at is to manage our own minds. And that basically just means that we have to take responsibility for what we think, how we feel, and then obviously the actions that we take. So we can't say that my business is stressing me out, or I'm overwhelmed because of my business, or my kids doesn't listen and that's the reason I get angry. We have to take responsibility for our own thinking and how that creates a feeling inside us that leads to an action. And we can't say that someone does that to me. I have control. So whatever circumstances is in the world, I have control of what I make it mean and then how I act on that. And the next one I want to talk about is to be confident in our decision making and also making decisions ahead of time. Because sometimes we make decisions and we don't stick to it and we don't follow through. And then, we sort of lose that trust with ourselves because we sort of make decisions, but in the back of our mind, we know that we're not going to follow through. So also making decisions ahead of time means that I don't make decisions in the moment, because that normally leads to, because then we access the primitive brain, and then it leads to, I want instant gratification. So my decision that I'm making right now might not be in line with where I want to go and in line with my goals. Another one is that we have to manage our minds around time. So just notice how I said that. We have to manage our minds around time, and we don't have to manage time, because time is just time. And we all know that a clock and every second that it ticks is another second, and we know that we have 24 hours in a day. So it's something that we know and that is quite predictable. So now all we need to go and do is to prioritize what is important to us and know what is important, prioritize and what is important, and then take those things and just slot it into our calendars. So again, I don't have to work 10 hours a day. I want to work 10 hours a day, or how many hours you want to work in a day, and make sure that everything that you want to do is slotted in a specific time frame on the calendar. And then also over the longer term, you build trust with yourself, because once you know that this is what I need to do today, it has a slot in my calendar, and it's then as good as done. And then once I sit down to actually do that activity, that I then obviously deal with the emotions coming up at that point, because that's also a thing that people don't follow through, because once they sit to do the activity, emotions come up, like they don't feel like it, or they're confused, or they don't know what to do. And then that sort of derails them. So they get up and they go and do something else. So we need to, make the plan and then stick to it, follow through. And then lastly is just to set goals. So goals is basically just gives our brain something to focus on. And then also looking at the power of constraint, because if I have 5 goals, it's so much easier for me to get excited about the first goal. And once it gets hard, I then, but maybe this goal isn't for me, and then I jump to the second one. And then when this gets hard and it gets quite old, then I jump to the next one. So constraint means to have, it depends on obviously how big your goals are, but the less goals, the better, because then I can actually focus on that. So these are just a couple of things that I think we need to look at just in terms of ourselves and where we are, and to get ourselves in a good place in order to lead. So once I like myself, then it's so much easier then to go into my organization and then from like a clean new perspective, sort of see what is now not working and what can I do about it with my mind that I can manage and that is clean and organized. So that's it from me today. Thank you for listening, and goodbye for now.
Cool beans. Thank you very much, Norma. Very insightful. I really enjoyed that. And you must have a fantastic weekend. We'll catch up soon and we'll see you back next week. So, by the way, next week is the last episode for this season. So, yeah, can't believe we're already there. But, yeah, we'll see you back next week.
Great. Thank you. Bye, everyone.
Great stuff. Bye-bye. All right, and then just a couple of very quick announcements before I talk about today's quick topic. So the first one is just a last reminder about the Write a Book in a Day challenge that is taking place this Friday, the 3rd of December. So you can watch it live from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. You can pop in and out during the day as you wish. But please tell others about this. This is a big sort of endeavor that we are embarking on and looking to write that book in a day for the profession. We've got some great people. All of them are great that's joining us, authors. So really looking forward to a fun day. We're going to have interviews and all sorts of stuff during the day. So please join us for that. Come have a coffee with us and just be part of that whole sort of thing that we're doing. I don't know, it feels like English words are escaping me this morning. But anyway, so that's the first one, the Write a Book in a Day. That's coming Friday from 9 a.m. until 3 p.m. We will share the links again to the live stream via WhatsApp and also via email, and then also obviously on LinkedIn. So we will definitely do that. Then the second thing I just quickly want to, for those of you that have that sort of got into the Speaker and Influencer program for next year, for 2022, we will have a quick get-together somewhere in December virtually. It'll be a virtual get-together just to sort of lay out what's going to happen, when it's going to happen, and just set expectations before we go away on holiday. So Adam and myself are busy setting that up. So please look out for that invitation via email very, very soon. You will also get an invitation to the PROpulsion Pro platform, because you get access to the platform while you are in that program. And everything happens on the platform. So all the events are scheduled through there. All the events are done through there. The training is done through there. Everything happens on the platform. So please look out for that as well. And then just lastly, if you can please, if you haven't yet subscribed to the channel, we are now on 954, I believe. So there's only 46 to go until we get to 1,000, and then we'll worry about what happens after that. But for now, we need 46 more people to at least subscribe before the end of the year. Will be absolutely fantastic. So if you have subscribed already, thank you very much. But if you haven't, please consider subscribing. It costs nothing. Hit that notification thingy so that when we do go live or we do publish videos, that you are in the know, and that it has gone out and that it is available for you. There's quite a lot of things that we're doing apart from the show. The show is obviously the main thing here on the platform, but there's also how-to sessions that we publish, and here and there I do commentary on certain things and some tutorials sometimes. I don't do that often. But yeah, there are those kind of things. All right, so enough with the announcements. So let's get into today's topic. And today I'm going to talk about renovation lessons, I guess. As you saw earlier, pondering renovations, and what has that got to do with our businesses. And I'm really excited. I've got lots to share with you. So let's get into that. I must just say, I enjoy presenting more standing, but I can't stand because then it looks like you're going to see the roof. That's because the laptop is too low. But anyway, so we're making it work. And as I said earlier, just before I get going, next week will be the last show for this season. For season 2, we will be back very early next year with season 3 with a new revamped show. So looking forward to that as well. All right, so renovating our houses. I don't know, what has that got to do with business? And I think it turns out that it actually has got a lot to do with our businesses. And there's a lot of similarities, and there's a lot of sort of, I think, lines that we can draw, connecting different things and experiences and things that you think about when renovating a house. I don't know, when you're welcome in the chat to share with me if you have renovated your house before, or a house before, even if it was an investment property or something like that. But you had to change an existing house or property, and be it whether you just painted it or whether it was a massive renovation project, anything in between, let me know. Just say, yes, I did. We'll get into what that was like a little bit later. But anyway, I think it's definitely one of the most testing endeavors that you can absolutely embark on. They don't say that it is, I guess, next to death and divorce, the worst thing that you could ever do in your life. And it puts a lot of pressure on a lot of things. So I now find that to be true. So just where does this come from, and why do I want to talk about this today? Well, we're currently in the process of renovating our house. We've been living here now for 16 years in December. And, we've done a few things here, but mostly it's more maintenance, painting and that kind of stuff. And, over the last, 8 or 9 years, we haven't done anything in terms of renovation. So, we've been talking about this for a very, very long time. And then it finally started happening. And now that we're in the middle of it, I now know why I never renovated. So I think that's sort of what held me back. But anyway, it's a good experience. It's also, so I want to share some of those learnings with you at the end as well. But all of this just got me thinking and actually wondering, about what are the similarities with business, because I don't think it's a lot different from if I have a business and I want to sort of work on my business, consistently and continuously. It must pretty much be the same as a renovation. And then I started wondering, isn't that the reason why we don't work on our businesses? Because it's painful. There's a lot of things that we uncover that we didn't know existed. And there's a lot of things that stresses us out in that process because, if you're used to, this is the way that things work and this is the way that things go and this is the process and these are the steps and, everything is predictable, and now you want to up your game. Now it means there's a lot of changes that must come, and suddenly things are falling through the cracks, and maybe technology that you implement is not working optimally, or I don't know, whatever it may be. But from that perspective, it's just important, I think, to say, well, not important, but I was wondering, is that the reason then why we rather not work on our businesses? But let me start sort of at the beginning and take you through a little bit of a process, and just to take you back maybe to the time when you started your financial planning business, or maybe you're sitting here watching me and then pondering, should I start my own practice? Should I get into financial planning at all? That kind of stuff. So I want to take you a little bit through that. And I want to start off with talking about, when we start a business, and this actually goes, I guess, for any kind of business. It's not just only financial planning businesses, because this very much applies to my business, and I'm not a financial planner. But, when we start a business, there's sort of two ways to do it, and maybe a third way, I guess. But the first way is that you start it from scratch, right? You go and sit down, you design the business, you think about what is it that you want to offer, how you want to offer it, who you want to work with, etc., and you start building and putting that business together from scratch. On the other hand, you buy an existing business. And I guess then sort of a third one could be that maybe you inherit a business. I don't know. But be that as it may, those are sort of the three main ways how one gets into business, whether it's financial planning or anything else. But I think it's very similar to buying a house off the plan if you start from scratch, because you get to design this thing from scratch, and what do you want where. And yes, often for those things, buying off a plan, it's prescribed of what you can and can't do. But if you just bought a vacant land somewhere that's not in an estate, you have absolute freedom to design that house however you want. And I think, when we do it, we think about the things that we really want. We always wanted this. Let's put this into the house and let's make this house absolutely what it could be. And you design that house with everything that's new and shiny and the latest. It doesn't matter whether you did this in 1953, like when my house was built, or whether you're doing it today. That's sort of the focus. If it's the first time you're building a house brand new from scratch, you want to put everything in there that you always wanted, right? And I think that's sort of the focus. Then the house is built, blah, 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 go through that, and then you move in and everything is exciting, everything's clean, there's a lot of space, it's just amazing. And, I think often when we start a business, it's exactly the same. you sort of designed this business, you got the laptop, you got the technology, maybe you appointed someone, maybe you didn't, but you start. And when you start a business, inevitably you have loads of time and you have very few important things to focus on, because when you start a business, the only thing you need to focus on is getting clients. That's the only thing. There's nothing else to focus on. So you have loads of time to do that. You only focus on getting new clients and making sure that you then deliver to those clients. That's the only thing that we do. And then sort of we get into the next phase, because now time passes, right? So time moves on, we move forward, and we live in this house a little bit, we work in the business a little bit, and then we realize that, like this happened to me. You realize that maybe that great layout and that great design was not so great or so optimal as what you wanted. Why? Well, simply because as time went on, we brought more things into the house. So all that space we had is now suddenly a lot less, or even gone for that matter. So we brought a lot of stuff in. Maybe the family grew, more people than when the house was designed. And even if you sort of think about, like at the time, we are going to start a family, we are going to have a family. Even with that in mind, you never know. You think you're going to have one kid and then suddenly you have four. So, you never know. And then I think something else that happens in a house, in any house, like you over time realize that you spend a lot of time in a very particular part of the house. For some people, it's the bedroom. For some people, it's the entertainment area. For some people, it's the TV room or the kitchen. But that's where you spend most of your time. So you have all this other space and all these other things that you rarely even use. But it's all stuff that you wanted right in the beginning. Maybe you decide that you want to start a hobby, or like me, a show, and you need a dedicated area for that, and suddenly maybe you did not provide for that, or maybe the use of a particular room in your house changes because now you want to do something else, and you're not using that room for anything else in particular that you sort of set out to use it for in the beginning. So these are all, I think, things that we can definitely pull back to our businesses. You start thinking about, like, you build this business and you want to offer everything to everyone, and in time you realize, sorry, I don't want to work with that type of person. I don't want to do this type of business. I actually don't like risk business. I only want to do investments. Or I don't like investments. I only want to do risk. Well, you know what? I like none of this. I just want to go into fiduciary. All of these things change over time. So does it then mean that you are in a business that now, because you designed it in a certain way, you got to stay there, right? And I don't think so. And this is now where we get to the part where we say, well, all right, maybe we need to do some renovations. Maybe we need to make some changes because, what we wanted and what we got at the moment no longer serves the needs that we may actually have. And I think what happens when we start with this whole process about, like, because it's that first decision, maybe before that you start wondering, should I not? But at some point you're going to decide, listen, let's just get into this and see whether we should do this renovations and then make a decision. But I think at this point, because you've now built the house from scratch, or even if you bought the perfect house, even if you went out and for 60 years you were looking for that perfect house, you found it, and then in that time you lived there, you realize it's maybe not as perfect as you thought. Now what you can do is, I think typically, because out of experience, right, we say, well, this is all the things we wanted. What are the things we really need? And you start reflecting on those. And it's the same in our businesses. Like, what do we really need at this point? Because what we wanted and needed, maybe that was the same. I don't know. Maybe it was, maybe it wasn't. Or maybe then it changed over time. So the needs change. So you need to change the setup around you. And I think this is the big difference between renovations and doing things from scratch, is because now you're coming from a place of experience and you've identified things that work well and things that doesn't work well. And now it's like, what do we really need? Not the stuff that we want. The bling bling and all the nice stuff is amazing, but what do we really, really need? We start drawing out some ideas. How can we change the layout? And then some people, just like my wife, has got the vision to see how things can be. I'm like, until it's done, I won't see it. But hopefully in my business, I can see what I want and need, and not so much battle with that. But we start drawing out some ideas and different scenarios and different options. What if we do this? What if we do that? And then at some point you realize maybe that, like, I think my ideas are great, but I need somebody who's a professional who can really tell me that, this is a great idea, or maybe we're missing out on something we should be considering that we're not. So maybe we get designers involved. So some people will get designers involved, some people will not. And but that's definitely something to consider. The one main thing here is that if you don't have a clear picture around how this thing must look in the end, you don't even know where to start. Because which walls do I knock out? Which windows do I keep? Which windows do we build shut? Do we keep a doorway as it is? Do we make it bigger? I don't know. Do we build something new in? Can we link 2 rooms to each other? If I knock down this wall, is the roof going to come down? I don't know. There's so much to consider. But unless you know exactly what you actually want this to look like in the end, you don't even know which walls to knock out in the first place. And it's the same in our business, unless we have that very clear vision. And as I said, you may have had a very clear vision in the beginning, and you may still have the exact same vision, and that's great. But often that vision changes over time. As you become more experienced, as you learn, as you hear what clients actually are looking for, all of that changes over time. So that's important. And then obviously, I guess the big question. So when it comes to building businesses, I'm not too scared to go at a DIY style, doing it myself. But when it comes to renovating my house, I'm definitely not doing it myself, because one, it will never get done, and secondly, it will not be straight or nice or anything like that. So also know your strengths and what you're good at and where you do. But we need to decide, do I do it myself or do I get professionals involved? So, think about who's going to do the building, the plumbing, the electricians, the flooring specialists, the roofing specialists. There's so many things that I learned, like, okay, this is not just one oak doing all this work. There's a lot of people that they get involved in order to get this job done. So in our business is exactly the same. There's things that we can do ourselves, and then there's a lot of stuff where we need to get people involved who really knows, because one, it saves you a lot of time, and also because they've seen many businesses like yours and are able to give great input. So that is absolutely crucial. Then the last thing, when we decide to do this, obviously think about budget. In other words, how much money you have available, and then getting quotes or proposals or estimated costs for what this project is going to be, because you need to know what that is, because maybe you can do everything right now. Maybe you have to spread it out over time, but you need that to make a firm decision at the end of the day. All right, so now we made a decision and we are going ahead with renovations. And, so we start the renovations, and sometimes these renovations are as simple as painting. We just got bored of this red wall. Let's make it green, or let's just put it back to white, or I don't know. But anyway, so maybe it's something as simple as that. Let's just repaint the house. I mean, that is still renovation, although it could be seen as maintenance. But it could be as simple as that. But other times it's really like, and if you saw the picture on the thumbnail, and I will maybe quickly show that again. I mean, this is the actual picture from so this used to be my kitchen where there's no more roof. And this is just after I think the first or second day of demolishing. And it's really, really crazy, to sort of think about, there was a whole area that was very useful up to a point in time, and now there's nothing. So we ripped it down right to that there's nothing left. It's sometimes could mean serious surgery. So it's not always just simple as painting, or maybe just, I don't know, just maybe replacing a floor or replacing lights or something simple like that. But one thing I can tell you about renovations, and we're only about, I think a third of the way through, or maybe a little bit more, but it always starts off well. It goes well, it's beautiful. It's just, man, how exciting is this? You just hear all the knocking and the dust, and even, I hate dust, even that I think it's exciting sometimes. But it's because it starts off well. And then you get a call to say, so this floor we're going to replace here. On this side, it is only like this much that we need to fill up. On the other side, it's 1.2 meters. We did not know that. So I think it's inevitable that you're going to uncover things that you did not know was the case. Be it that I was ignorant about it, being that I didn't have the knowledge to know it, be it just that you couldn't see it because it was hidden. Doesn't matter. There are things. When you start this process, when you start implementing the changes that you want to do in your business, you are going to uncover things that you didn't know existed before, and things that are actually, well, it might be a problem, but also on the other hand, it's just, maybe it's going to cost me a little bit more to fix this. It's not a problem. It can still be fixed very easily, but it's not going to cost me this much. It's going to cost me a little bit more. So those things I think are inevitable. And again, going back to why we don't so often work on our businesses, and even if we do, why we do not implement the things that we say we are going to implement, is probably because we are afraid of what it's going to cost us, or things that we may uncover that we didn't know existed. So those are very important things to say, you know what, it's part of the process. Just try as best as you can to enjoy the ride. I think the big thing is, like, once you have uncovered this, now it can be fixed. You can be excited about it and you can actually do something about it. So it should be a positive thing and not a negative thing. I think the thing is that it might take you a little bit longer now to do the renovations than initially expected, or it may cost you more, but that is sort of part of that. And you can see how all of this pulls back to our business. You look about the renovations. I know Jonita Moelman also commented on the platform, because I did a short little post about this on PROpulsion Pro the other day. And she was also saying, look, I just went through 3 of these renovation projects, and it is massive. It is just, it's really something. And it's such a good analogy to have. All right, so just hold a second for me quickly. Let me just change here to, let me just see there we go. It's just putting on my technology here to save me from the dogs barking. All right, so anyway, last point. So the big thing here, so what are the 5 top takeaways? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yes, I've got 5 top takeaways for this, and to say, well, everything that we spoke about, and if you go and sit down and think about renovations, if you've ever done it, or you're ever pondering this, or you are working on your business, what are the 5 key things that you should be taking away from the discussion that I've had so far? The first thing is that you need that clear picture up front. Without that clear picture up front, you ain't going nowhere, because without knowing where you want to end up, it's absolutely impossible to know where to start. So that's very important. The second one is that the core of the design must be sound. So in other words, the layout is very, very crucial. Where the plug points will be, those kind of things, where the light fittings are, where the switches are. Those things are so critically important, because putting in the most beautiful light pendants and the most amazing television and the most amazing furniture and laying the most beautiful floor, all of that stuff actually means nothing if the layout doesn't work, if the structure of the building isn't sound, if the new floor that they put down onto which the tiling or the laminates or whatever must be done, if that is not sound and level and perfect, you're going to see issues later on. So the core of the design needs to be absolutely there. So don't go and focus on all the bells and whistles and the fantastic add-ons and, we have our own app and, we have this amazing website and all this stuff, when the core of your business is not solid and sound. So that is the first thing that one needs to make sure is there. Then on top of that, to build and make it absolutely beautiful and create an experience and an atmosphere and all that stuff is going to be absolutely easy and amazing. Third thing, you will uncover things that you did not know was there and that need fixing. It's fantastic, it's great, it's a big opportunity, so remember that. Fourth thing, you will most likely need to employ professionals to help you. And, even if you have a team that work with you and they give input, sometimes giving outside input is a great thing to do as well. And then point number 5 is that you will start off with what you want, specifically when you start a new business. And then in the end, you're going to focus a lot more on what you actually need. And that vision, I think, will shape itself as you go on. There's this amazing quote that I saw the other day. I think it was Ray Dalio that actually said this. And he said that don't get so stuck into how you want things to be. And I think there's so many people that I speak to that we have these idealisms and this romanticism and I don't know, all sorts of things with how we would want things to be, but that you don't learn and appreciate and understand how things actually are. And I think there's so much in that quote. So just to summarize that, it is, don't get so hung up on how you want things to be that you miss out on how things actually are. And I think that translates for me into, there's these amazing things that we want, but they will never generate any income for your business. And without that, there's a certain way that business works, and there's certain things that does generate income. So how do we bring these two worlds together and over time move towards that, but understand that you're not going to flip a switch and go from here to there, and then it's just going to be exactly what you want. It's always a process to get there. All right, so let me quickly just see some comments. I see Govendra, my friend. Yeah, I see you have. Luckily, you are still here. You haven't run away. So, yeah, amazing stuff. Right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. I think that is it for me for today. I hope you have a fantastic weekend, and that, once again, thank you very much for watching. Deeply appreciate it, and that you will stay safe and stay warm and dry, apparently. So, but other than that, thank you so much. Have a fantastic one, and remember, keep raising the bar. I will see you next week for the final episode for season 2. All right, keep well. Bye-bye.